Most people are unhappy with the Cracker Barrel rebrand. They see it as a mistake, betrayal, maybe even corporate suicide. But I don't see it that way. I see it as a great opportunity, and I am so happy to see this change. Cracker Barrel has finally stopped pretending to be something that it is not. And that shift, well, painful for some, opens up opportunities for the rest of us that I think could be very good. Give you my perspective on this. Now, I do think it's sort of tragic because a lot of good people are likely to get hurt. Good people who are doing the best they can working for Cracker Barrel, who have had nothing to do with this decision. And if the revenues of the corporation go down, well, chances are that that might impact their livelihoods. And they're also on the front lines, probably getting some heat from customers who are not too happy. And these people have nothing to do with the decision. If you go to Cracker Barrel, please be kind to the people who are working there. I think it's great. I think this rebranding is a wonderful effort because it adds clarity. It reduces deception. Let me share a couple quick stories. I used to work in a high-level corporate position, and there was one manager who I didn't have a lot of respect for because he was a snake. He would come up to me invariably with a happy attitude going, "Barry, my buddy, how you doing? Hey, that project you're working on is fantastic. I got some ideas for you." Great. And 10 minutes later, he'd be talking to somebody else with a whole different story of, "Yeah, Barry's off on that project, and that's getting a little bit off the rails. We got to rein him in. All the problems that's going to create." Yeah. So I never knew where I was coming from with him and didn't trust him, didn't like him, and thought he was pretty deceptive. Then there was another manager, and I'm going to call him out by name. And I'm going to call him out by name because it's such a great name. His name was Dick Strong, and he lived up to it. And I had a lot of admiration for Dick. Can't say I liked him, but I had a lot of admiration for him. Very smart guy, very strategic guy, very driven sort of individual. And he was capable of being pretty evil. If something got in his way, he would blow right through it, and he didn't care if somebody got hurt. But the thing is that he wasn't deceptive. He'd lay it out there, and he'd let you know where he's coming from. When my project and his projects aligned, he was my best friend, and he would say, "Barry, like what you're doing. We're going to take this to the moon." And I could trust that that's where he was coming from. On the other hand, if my project and his initiatives weren't in alignment, he would be right in my face saying, "I'm going to bury you." But I appreciated that. I can handle people, if they're good or if they're evil, whatever they are, as long as I understand what I'm dealing with. And so it is with Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel has this image of down-home country cooking, the kind of breakfast your Tennessee grandma would whip up for you in the morning. But it never delivered. Cracker Barrel produced a fine product. It is what it is. But it didn't really match the truth that their branding implied. And so I think it's great that Cracker Barrel is changing their image because Cracker Barrel is getting honest. They're telling us honestly who they are and what they deliver, rather than selling us a lie. They're a big corporate entity that's probably more concerned about profit margins, efficiency, and producing acceptable quality product that's good enough that the customers will return. That's what they are. And now that's what they're telling us that they are. And I appreciate the honesty. The other thing that Cracker Barrel has done for us through their branding and their prior branding is they've identified a market desire. And that market desire is high quality, home cooking, just like Granny used to make. Farm fresh eggs, handmade biscuits, made with love, hot and fresh in the morning. And so we know that there is a market for that exact product. And Cracker Barrel has been giving us a facsimile of that product, something that evokes the memory of Granny's home cooking, but doesn't really deliver on the promise. But we know that there's a desire out there for that product. This opens up a market space for somebody to deliver on the promise. Hopefully, people decide that Cracker Barrel, what they truly are, isn't what they really want. And instead, they take their business to the small town cafe. Anne's Cafe, that's run with her sister. A couple of women who love making great food and serving local customers, people they know and love. And when you shop at local businesses, you keep your money in your town mostly. When you go to some big corporate franchise, the money that you spend there probably gets funneled off to New York or Los Angeles and gets put into some major hedge fund, and it doesn't serve your local community. So when I see big corporate entities like Cracker Barrel, Walmart, or these other major corporations make suicidal decisions, stumble, and fall, well, I feel bad for the people who are impacted, who are completely innocent, of course, but it gives me hope that that opens up a market opportunity for somebody to step in locally, fill that void, and to do it right. So I think it's great that Cracker Barrel is doing what they're doing. I hope it inspires small towns to have more real high-quality restaurants. So for that reason, hooray. Cracker Barrel, you be you, and I appreciate the honesty. Because when you stop deceiving your customers are more able to exercise their freedom of choice. And I think it's just great. So that's my perspective on it. If you find my perspective to be interesting, entertaining, or amusing, I hope you come back and watch more. To make that easier, please subscribe to the channel. And if you got some entertainment or wisdom out of this episode, take a second, if you would, and throw me a thumbs up and let me know. I'd like to hear your comments, so drop them down below if you're so inclined. Thanks for watching the video. Catch you again soon.